Chapter 26. A salty prostration. At the age of 5, I invented jet propulsion in the bathtub. I designed a boat utilizing my finds and even began to build it from bits of scrap and old nails. Like everything else I have created, it remains unfinished. Like everything else I have ever done, it was ex nihilo. Human beings start from scratch. Being God, I have never had even that advantage. What matters is the idea anyway. I still think that boat was a good idea. Al-Hallaj says of the angels who obeyed me in prostrating to Adam that Iblis, or Satan, in refusing to bow down, showed himself most truly to be a Unitarian or believer in one God by so saying. Al-Hallaj condemned the Islam of his day. Truly, belief can condemn a man as effectively as unbelief. In reporting this, I do not mean to imply that I condone Al-Hallaj for saying Ana al-Haq. God himself has the right to say such a thing, Ana al-Haq. Christ, the Messiah, whom I sent into the world, that none should perish, but whosoever should believe him might have life eternal, once said, "You are the salt of the earth." There are 4 phases in becoming salt. These are law or shariat, the narrow path or tariqat, awareness or marifat, and hakikat or reality. First is the sense of knowledge. We see salt and analyze it chemically. We describe its properties. But with all such knowledge, one cannot imagine what salt tastes like. Only in the second phase do we find the more intimate sense, the sense of experience. The taste of salt in the phase of awareness or changes, an even more intimate experience takes place in which we not only taste salt, but ingest and assimilate it. The final phase is to be purely and uniquely salt. The perfect man will go through these 4 gates and thus obey the command of Christ. But the first step is the gate of the sense of knowledge. It is the knowledge that God is one, eternal, almighty, all-knowing, ever-perceiving, ever-living, all-independent in will and action, the creator of speech, ever-truthful. God is never a compound, accommodation, incarnation, visible, association, changing, or with additional qualities. I slow to watch the stars be born and pause to see them disappear. I look down on their time with scorn and face their hugeness without fear. I hold the growing universe upon a penny in my hand. To do so, I pretend, what's worse, to be a size and shape and stand. In jest, I take on form and eye to see the universe go by, a whirling atom in my view, though it seem large and grand to you. Sometimes I play this little game not for my own sake or my shame, but as man seeks a child's delight, I bask in star and planet light. Chapter 27, a cup of tea. I made myself a cup of tea and brought it to my lip. The boiling brew, too hot for me even to take a sip. I stirred it with my silver spoon and blew upon it twice and saw come into being moon and sun and rain and ice. I saw the world rise from the dark and shake her woolly head. I saw the woman in the park, heard what the serpent said. I heard the thunders of the flood. I saw the Red Sea run. I knew both Greece and Rome in bud and saw their empires done. In one split second to my eye the China Wall was built. I heard the population cry against oppression's guilt. I inhaled once to blow again. And in that breath of mine, the history of gods and men rose and went in decline. My heart is still in peace and love. No sound makes me look up. I only hear the clatter of my saucer and my cup. I stir myself upon the throne to a more restful place. For I am God, and I alone who gaze on time and space. The Velayat name of Haji Bektash reports the Master's remarkable control over nature, even to the extent of making a large stone transport, him to meet Jalal ad-Din. These so-called mythical elements from the story to get to the historical facts. They look with some condescension on earlier generations for needing miracles to believe. The opposite is the case. When the Velayat name was written, the greatest miracles of Haji Bektash had to be omitted, or the people would not have believed, since people today have sunken into even greater blindness. Even those few pitiful wonders that remain in the Velayat name must be removed before modern people are able to believe. Of course, there is nothing left to believe. The greatest miracle of Haji Bektash is hidden in the one sentence which God inspired him to say, "Be master of your hand, your tongue, your stomach. By my hand of might, I can hardly manage it. Myself, and I am God." There's a different question to ask at each of the four gates. The answer to the question is always the same. It is the Decalogue. The first gate is air. It is the gate of law. At the first gate, the gate of law, soul cries, "O Lord God, what do you command me to do?" At the second gate, the soul sighs, "O love of my heart, what is this you have promised me?" At the third gate, the soul whispers, "What if I were God?" At the fourth gate, the soul has no words of her own. She speaks directly in truth. "I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out." The first gate can be experienced in at least four ways. The soul can see a vision of Sinai and hear the words of thunder. She can tremble with fear. By contrast, the soul can take obedience, command as a challenge, and feel a sense of accomplishment in doing as I ask. It is possible to relate to the command with a high sense of duty. Another way is to focus on the ethical principles. Live by them without fanfare and without despair. The one way of relating to the commandments, which I never intended, is with a feeling of despair. I have made humankind with the possibility of repenting and starting afresh every day if necessary. Some people have succeeded in keeping my commandments perfectly. Thousands upon thousands have lived holy lives of repentance and service. One who despairs of himself is lost. I did not give the commandments to teach humankind that they are incapable of keeping them. That is the invention of men who desire to rule over the souls of others. The second gate is the gate of fire. It is the tariqat or way. The second gate can be experienced in many ways as well. It all depends on the character of the individual. The visionary leaves feared and sees my words as so many jewels, diamonds, rubies, and sapphires, gifts of love from me to humankind. These radiant jewels are not hard and cold, but can be eaten. They are fragrant, delicious, refreshing. They sharpen the senses with an exquisite inspiration. The sense of achievement and satisfaction at the first gate becomes communion at the second. The feeling of having achieved gives way to the bliss of companionship with me. The high sense of duty at the first gate becomes at the second a great feeling of self-esteem at having been chosen by me to embody the Decalogue. Ethical sense of the first gate is translated into a love and respect for others at the second gate. I never intended for the despairing man at the first gate to go on to leave despair at the second in finding the love of God. The second gate can be reached only by taking the commandments seriously and at face value. The third gate is the gate of water. It is the gate of marifate, the gate of perception, awareness, and knowledge. The third gate can be experienced in as many ways as the former ones. The visionary will see him or herself proclaiming the commandments from Sinai. Communion turns to empathy, the willingness to see things from the divine point of view, self-esteem by embodying the Decalogue. Away from the mirror to the divine self, love and respect for others becomes embedded in true understanding, perception, and awareness of who and what others are. Some think the four gates are progressive. They think you have to go through them in a certain order to reach the goal. If it must be a matter of progression, the first three gates are a waste. Time, the foolish and the fearful need time. The courageous can go directly through them into the fourth. The fourth gate is the gate of earth. It is called hakika, reality. There is only one way to experience the fourth gate. It is to be God. There is no escaping the four gates. The human body is made of earth and water. Food comes through a process of burning. Sons of David. I learned to set type by hand and then by linotype while I was in secondary school in California. Our school was one of the best for industrial arts. We had 4 hours of classes, half the day. 4 hours of work when I went to Puerto Rico for my final year of high school. I thought I should work in the press there as well. It turned out to be an impossibility. All of my classes were Spanish, a language I did not know, and there was just not time for work. I had to leave it and concentrate on school. Somehow I managed I managed too well, perhaps, for I became a legend the following year after I had gone to France. Several new American students came to the school, and they expected them to manage it, as well as I had in a completely foreign language and situation. They had not realized that I was God. The Debudia branch of the Bektashi order of dervishes whirl to the Psalms of David. The Quran is made up entirely of my words, directly quoted from the angel Gabriel to the Prophet Muhammad. Bible is different. My words are directly quoted in some places, but there are long passages where I hardly got a word in at all. There are only a few passages in the book of Psalms where I speak myself. I present the 7 veils in these words through David, peace upon him. The first is in Psalm 15, where I answer the question. This is the spiritual exercise of saying, Thy will be done. In Psalm 46:10, I say, Be still and know that I am God. This is the spiritual exercise of going into oneself in silence. Anyone at this point will realize the import of the words, know that I am God. In Psalm 50:5-21, I speak in view of judgment first to the saints and then to the wicked. I demand the sacrifice of praise and right conduct. This is the spiritual exercise of realizing that the soul is the servant of God. In Psalm 75:2-9, I describe the day of judgment. This is the spiritual exercise. The hollow of God's hand is a human shape. In Psalm 81:6-14, I bear witness of my care and deliverance. This is the spiritual exercise of reciting my word, studying it, contemplating it in silence, and acting upon it. In Psalm 82:2-7, I condemn oppression. This is the spiritual exercise of seeing self in the other. In Psalm 89:3-4, 19-37, I establish David as my representative on earth. The spiritual exercise of seeing God instead of veils. In Psalm 95:8, -11, I make a plea not to harden the heart for fear of not entering into my rest. Of what use are the 40 degrees of descent and ascent if you do not enter my rest? The Psalm of the Sabbath is Psalm 92. In the very heart of the psalm, there is a brief verse with a melody of only 2 notes. But thou, Lord, art most high forevermore. It has to be read in Hebrew. To get the sense, it contains 4 words representing the 4 gates. Each word has 4 letters. The first word is wata, consisting of wa, 6, aleph, 1, ta, 4, 100, and he, 5, 412 in all, which reduces to the sacred number 7. The word means, and you. The first gate, law, is the first step, and it takes the other into consideration. The word begins with the number of self-centeredness, 6. When we cover self-centeredness with 1, I, God, we come we, to 7, perfection. The 4 gates multiplied 100 times do not go beyond this. Jesus summed this up by quoting Moses' book of Leviticus, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Repeats you 3 times. The digits 412 represent the 4 gates and the 12 holy imams. The second word is maram, consisting of mem 40, resh 200, wa 6, and mem 40, 286 in all, which again reduces to the sacred number 7. The word means elevation, but is reminiscent of the Arabic cognate ram, meaning desire. This is the heart meaning of the second gate. The tariqat, or order, is a step above law, upon which it is founded. They are both represented by the number 7, the number of perfection. The second gate includes the 40 days of physical fasting, which surround 6, the self, by enclosing it with the second 40-day period, the spiritual fast in hiding. This is the entrance into the tariqat. The third word is li'olam, consisting of lamed 30, ain 70, lamed 30, and mem 40. 170 in all, which reduces to 8. The word means forever, but comes from a root meaning hidden. The heart meaning of the third gate, it is the gate of changes on above 7, or the 4 gates doubled. It begins with 30, 10 times 3, God, Muhammad, Ali, multiplied by the Decalogue. Continues in the direct apperception of perfection in 77 times the Decalogue. It reaffirms 30. It finally reaffirms 40. The Decalogue multiplied by the 4 gates. That law is written on the heart. The fourth word is YH, the sacred name of God, consisting of Yod-10, He 5, Wa 6, and He 5. The sum is 26, which again reduces to 8. This is the heart. Gate, it begins with 10, the Decalogue, which in fact is the one with 0 added to it. After this comes 6 enclosed in a split 10, so that the heart of the one is the Bektashi secret, is also the 5 members of the Holy Family: Muhammad, Fatima, Ali, Hassan, and Hassan. Here begins and ends the book of the Psalms of David. My 7 speeches in the Psalms are summarized in this one verse. Here is the heart of the message I gave to him. 4 words of 4 letters. 16 in all, which reduces to 7, the perfection of all things. Chapter 29, my sitting. They invited me to Kuwait. They came to meet me at the airport. I lived in a suite in the hotel for 2 weeks. Someone came to take me in a nice car every day. There was a round of speaking engagements, one after another. I do not remember where or how. I just remember a face here and there, but hardly a name. Hundreds of people came to hear me. They kept giving me advice, what to say, how to look. In one place, there were placards giving me welcome. There were gold, crystal, fine carpets and chandeliers. There were newspaper, men and television cameras. I slept 4 or 5 hours night. Then I came home to my wife, the washing machine and the television set. Everything was quiet. Nobody needed to speak to me or listen to what I said. Nobody called or came to take me away in a nice car. I slept 10 hours a night. All the while I was the same person with the same thoughts and feelings, with the same ideas and plans. I watch myself, an enigmatic stranger, thinking, speaking, doing. I am born and I shall die, knowing the whole universe, but not the palm of my own hand. The Prophet Muhammad, the last of those prophets whom I sent into the world, once said, I am the city and Ali is the gate into the city. John saw my city and he describes it in the book of Revelation, the last book in the Bible, the last chapters. The city is set on 12 foundation stones, the lower ones broader than the upper ones, thus forming steps all around. For there are 3 gates in each of the 4 walls of the city. 12 holy names are written on the foundation stones, and the wise know them. Within the city is the river of life springing up eternally, and the tree of life with its 12 kinds of fruit and its leaves for the healing of the nations. All these things I have prepared for those who will enter the gate into the city. The Messiah, the Lamb of God, is within the city. And David, the shepherd boy with his harp, and Moses with his shining tablets, and Abraham with his bosom of comfort, and Noah with his ark of safety, and Eve. Above and beyond, within and below all of this is my throne, from which shines the glory of my presence. But I myself, I am not here nor there, because there is no place vast enough to contain me in all the universe, not in all eternity. So I set about to create for myself a house, a place in which all the stars of the universe could be lost, and I created the human heart. Instead of all is alone large enough to make my dwelling. Chapter 30, a slender voice. We had a brief vacation from college. A friend and I left the doldrums of the dormitory to go to Bern for 3 days. The Jewels had invited me and a friend to visit them. I was young enough at the time to take such an invitation for granted. Now I am amazed at the hospitality and grateful. Mrs. Jewell taught me how to steam vegetables and opened a whole world of cooking to me. We came to Bern in the car of another schoolmate, but we returned by hitchhiking. Somewhere west of Bern, a mother and daughter picked us up. They were going to the Riviera for 2 weeks and invited us to go along with them, all expenses paid, but we were serious boys, and we said we had to get back to the college. Evening was coming on as we trudged up a road unknown to us on the west side of Geneva. The sun frowned down on the campus, and a spring rain ate away at the dirty remnants of snow left over from the month before. I was cold, naked, and hungry. I wandered about the whole city. It was dark, dark everywhere, but light and music and laughter spilled out from the windows and doors of place after place of place. Entertainment and worship, the day was done, and all the world rose up to play and pray. But I was left outside in the dark alone. Well, has the psalmist said that I dwell in thick clouds and darkness? Then, all of a sudden, I heard a voice, small and unskillful, all but covered by the symphonies and concerts, love songs and hymns that surrounded it. It rose pure and white like the water, lily up. From the corruption of the bottom of the pond, as I came closer, I felt robes of glory begin to surround me. And then glittering, transparent walls of gold and warmth and light like 1,000 suns. The voice went on, a single slender voice, and the slight plucking of the strings. I recognized my old home, the tabernacles of David, as the Psalms sent up spire after spire of the divine palace. Around me, the sound of the frail voice multiplied, sent out shoots and harmonies in every direction, spilled over the moon and intertwined among the stars. One heart out of 4 billion, one wild rose, one note from the harp of David, and I am fed and clothed, I God, am taken in. Well, has the psalmist said that I dwell in the praises